Welcome back to What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur. I'm Vincent Lanci.
What's up, guys? I'm Ricky Carruth.
Whether you're already an entrepreneur, are looking to start your journey tomorrow, or are just someone who needs a little extra motivation to get through the day, this is the perfect podcast for you. Each week, I interview a different entrepreneur from across the globe. I will continue to offer episodes in all industries to provide you with many different perspectives. You never know which motivational journey will inspire you most. Each guest will take you through their story and help you learn from their successes and lessons learned. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate the show 5 stars and continue listening by subscribing. My guest on the show today is someone who is striving for greatness each and every day and will deliver countless lessons to you all. In real estate since 2002, today's guest has seen the highest highs and the lowest lows of the market. Surviving the ups and downs, he's learned the harsh lessons of the business. Since then, he has risen to be the top producer in the market, selling over 100 properties per year in 2014, 15, 2016, and 2017 as a single agent. But this hard work led him to becoming the #1 RE/MAX agent in Alabama in 2014 and 2017, among other awards. Shifting to entrepreneurship, he reached such a high level in that industry, realizing the failure rate among agents is so high, so he founded Zero to Diamond, a coaching company created to help agents differently than any other coaching program available by sharing his highly unique, low-pressure approach with agents across the country. Additionally, I really admire this as a true entrepreneur. He's grinding. He's written 2 books, created an online course, and developed a video library. One of the things I like most about today's guest is that he gives to charities all across the country, as well as the real estate community. It is my pleasure to introduce Ricky Carruth. Ricky, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Yeah, appreciate that. Nice little intro.
Thank you for the kind words. Would you mind please introducing yourself to our listeners a little more and previewing your story without giving too much away of your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, man, I think you summed it all up really, man. I'm down here in Gulf Shores, Alabama, right on the Alabama-Florida state line. Beautiful white sandy beaches, man, in Alabama. You ever heard of it?
I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, we got palm trees, $1 million condos right here in Alabama. Nobody knows. But more and more people are realizing it. Our population is around 20,000. We have 7 million visitors every year. And that's been growing. So it's a highly popular tourist place. So I grew up here, grew up roofing houses, got in real estate when I was 20, made $1 million before I was 23, lost it all, went back to roofing houses, worked on an oil rig for a year, and got back in real estate in 2008 and just climbed my way back to the top, man. And right now where I sit, I've been selling and closing over 100 properties a year since 2014. Still going. I'm going to have my best year ever this year. And, I'm just having fun. So I wrote those 2 books and started coaching and speaking all over the place. And that's been fun too. So I'm just enjoying the process right now. I feel like I'm on the right on the brink of doing some really big things. And, like I say, I'm just having fun and enjoying it.
I think that's a great lesson right there, just enjoying the process, making sure you're not letting it pass you by. But I think that is a great intro for the Big 5. Ricky, on each episode, my guest and I will go over these 5 questions to help you, the listeners, learn what it's really like to be an entrepreneur. You ready to go, Ricky?
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
Let's do it. So when did you realize that you either weren't happy with what you were doing or that you needed some kind of change to truly start your entrepreneurial journey? Please share your story.
Well, there was a couple of different pivot points, transition points. I mean, the first one was when I was roofing houses, as a kid, and I went to college and I failed a history class at University of Alabama and decided I wasn't going to do college anymore. And I realized that real estate to get your license was 1 class, so that was the first pivotal point. And really what made me want to get in real estate, because I wanted to do something to help people. And I figured I could help first-time home buyers and people buy houses. And I figured that was a helping type industry. So it was definitely something I was interested in, and then from there, that it was tough because it took me 8 months to make my first sale. And then I started selling 2 a month. And then the market exploded and I made $1 million overnight. And so I was a young 20s, never had money. Parents never had money. So, it was kind of shocking, didn't really know what to do. So I made a bunch of investments I thought were great investments into real estate and over leveraged. And when the market crashed, I lost everything, really long story short. So I went back to roofing houses and worked on an oil rig and did all that stuff. So here I am at another transition point, getting back into real estate.
Right.
During that time, I read 100 books, about 100 books over the course of 2 years, because I was so hungry for knowledge and trying to figure out why I lost everything and where it went wrong. Because I'm one of these guys, once you tell me something once, that's all you have to tell me. Like you don't have to tell me anything more than one time. Once you tell me once how to do something, that is it. I got it. And so, I didn't understand why I lost everything. I had to figure it out. So once I figured it out, now I'm in a position where I will never lose everything ever again. And it all came back to the fact that when I started making all that money, I kind of got away from helping people and more focused on the money. And when I got away from helping people and focusing on people and more about the money and transactions and deals, I was just clouded and kind of blinded to the bigger picture, which was this isn't going to last. And when this does crash, you're going to need a foundation of relationships to fall back on to keep your business going through the slow times. And so it took me having to go through all that to realize it, and then I got back in real estate and started building my business on people. And then I started having different conversations that started to be meaningful. You could feel that they cared about me, I cared about them, and we were building a lifelong relationship with each other. Whereas before it was just like wham, bam, do a deal and never talk to each other again. So, I worked my way back up and built a real business to become the top RE/MAX agent in Alabama. And then after I did that for 3 years, I sold 100 properties a year for 3 years straight. To be honest with you, I kind of got bored. I always have the goal to make $1 million a year and sell 100 properties. But once I got there and hit it a couple times, it just wasn't exciting. So that's when I decided to write 2 books. After I made a meal, lost it, came back, took 6 years to get to the top, and then was at the top for 3 years. Then I decided I had something I wanted to share with the industry. Most coaches have been selling for 2 years, closed 19 properties, and now they're selling just for $500. You know what I mean? So
right.
You're taking advice from. I've actually been through it. It came from nothing, made it, lost it, came back from nothing, hit the top, stayed there for a while. So obviously I learned what not to do and also how to keep it, So I like what I have is different. My approach to the business is to value, the relationship, that person, your prospect, regardless if they want to buy or sell today or not. Use that to grow your database. And, was the next pivotal point. I was bored with what I was doing and decided I was going to take on this entirely new business. So and it's a roller coaster because my real estate business, I never used social media.
Okay.
But my coaching and speaking business, all social media.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn an entirely different business model, move over to coaching. I was like, okay, I've crushed this for so long. Now, yes, I tried to avoid social media my whole career, but then I was put in a position where I was kind of forced into, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Let me crush this. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. And over the next 12 months, now that I've kind of got my feet planted in the social media world, I'm really going to go bigger over the next 12 months. So pretty excited about, the direction of everything. But like you said, I'm still here and I want to be here. And that's the problem with most entrepreneurs and business people and people in general is they're never where they want to be. Most people just stay unhappy because as soon as they get close to their goal, they keep pushing their goal out. They keep pushing it further and they never really hit their goal. So they're always unhappy. Once they hit 1 million, they want to hit 10 million, they want to hit 100 million. They're never happy. But I found that there's this gray area in life where you can be super hungry and satisfied. Super hungry and motivated and trying to get to the next level, but also satisfied and happy with where you are at the moment. Mm-hmm. And that's where I am. I'm just kind of enjoying the process. I've got everything. I've got the house I want. I've got, the family I want. I've got the vehicles I want. I have all the stuff that I want, so now it's just a matter of me just taking over the world.
I think a lot of great lessons there. And one particular one I remember right away is you said when you were coming back up, you started focusing on people again and relationship building rather than just transactions. Do you think that was a big attribution to your success?
That is the complete thesis of everything I do. I created the phrase relationships over transactions, and it means everything to me. It is the baseline of everything that I do. It's the baseline of my coaching business. That's why I do it for free. I coach for free. I give 100 times more value than paid coaches for nothing. And the reason is because I value that relationship with each and every agent over the money that I would have made. Therein lies more money through different avenues.
Yep.
Like my free coaching business is $1 million a year business right now, and it's still growing, through coaching agents for free. So yeah, every business I get into moving forward, it's going to be focused around how do we grow the brand around relationships with people and doing the right thing and treating people right, and really helping people. Any business that involves helping people and being impactful and really kind of changing the world in some kind of positive way, that's the kind of stuff that I'm into.
Well, that's a great lesson to give to everybody listening on. But since you've been on this entrepreneurial path for a while now, running a few businesses, what would you say one or two of the most difficult parts of being an entrepreneur are for you here, Ricky?
I think the biggest thing is kind of what I alluded to was the whole reason why I got into the coaching space. It's because I was bored. And I think that that's a big downfall to the whole process of becoming successful. The process of becoming successful is extremely boring. It's the same routines. It's the same actions over and over and over again. Like, for example, I wake up at 4:30 every day and I answer my Instagram DMs for a couple of hours every day, 7 days a week. And if I that's even Sundays. If I don't do it on Sundays because it's Sunday, and then Monday it's 4 hours worth of DMs.
Right.
It piles up on top of each other. So that is not it's great to hear the stuff that's said. It's great to answer the questions and help the people, and I really do get a high off of that part of it. But at the same time, the actions of just answering DMs for 2 hours every day in and day out for months and months and months is a very boring activity. However, that is one of those activities that's going to put me straight on top at the end of the day. 5 years later, that action is going to be one of those things that puts me so far ahead of everyone else out there. One of my agents, she's like, I'm just so bored when I'm making my calls. She calls for about 2 hours a day, and she's like, I'm bored. I'm bored making my calls. And she's like, what would you do? What would you say to me, if I tell you I'm really bored making my calls? And I'm like, that is basically the definition of success, is to do these boring things, over and over and over again. It's like lifting weights. You go in, okay, we're going to do bench press again. We're going to do squats again. There's only you can try to do variations of exercises, and you can do all this and that, but at the end of the day, you're squeezing the muscles and you're doing the same stuff. But if you want to become a bodybuilder, you have to do those things over and over every day. And people can't handle the monotonousness of the same stuff every day, like it's Groundhog Day. That the agent that was making the calls, she was like, I'm calling the same type of people. I'm having the same conversations. I'm getting the same results, and they're positive results. She's doing well, really well, but it's just kind of mundane, just over and over and over again. So I think that's one of the toughest things that people can't, because when you're doing these boring, unattractive activities that aren't that fun or great or exciting, you get into this mindset like, is this really working? Because you're not seeing like massive results right now, and you've been doing it for 4 months every day, and you're not seeing massive results. You're like, man, is this really working? And then it starts to wear on you. It starts to eat at you. You're like, is this what I should be doing and stuff? So I think that's the toughest part of success, is that success is so simple that people don't even realize that they're doing what they need to do to succeed. And so they quit doing it thinking that it's not success, when in reality, those small little things that they were doing day in and day out are the exact actions and activities that gets people to these really huge places of success.
You couldn't be
You
more
know,
right. Every day, my first part of my day, my mornings is regimented. I have what I'm going to do. And man, that is an extremely, extremely great point, because yeah, it gets boring, but doing the little things that no one else does, because they are just that, will set you apart, and you're certainly on your way. But what would be another difficult part for you here, Ricky?
I mean, when you're first starting out, kind of more of the same stuff I just talked about, just knowing if you're really making the right moves on a day-to-day basis, feeling like
Like
every
that.
second counts. So are you doing the right activities, and you second guess yourself? Just self-doubt, self-doubt, even if you're a beast, because like I was telling my dad, because now that I'm making so much money in the coaching business, I'm making the same amount coaching as I am selling. And I was telling my dad, because maybe 2 years ago, I told him, I was like, because it was wearing on me so much, because there were 2 years where I put 100,000 out of my pocket into the coaching business. I lost 100,000 for 2 years in a row, because I'm doing it for free and I'm putting a lot into it. Plus the time spent making the videos and making the podcasts and making all the stuff, right? And so, like, I'm sitting here losing 100,000 a year on this business over here, spending most of my time on it, when I have this other business that makes me $1 million a year that I'm neglecting, and I'm like, okay, am I really making a huge mistake here? Is the long-term effect going to be that this coaching thing doesn't work out like I think? And I also lose momentum in my real estate business, and now I'm double screwed. And so I think even though, even the beasts of the world like myself still have self doubt, in those situations. But it's like when I was in high school, I wanted to quit playing football when I was maybe a sophomore or something. And I stuck it out. My parents wouldn't let me quit. I stuck it out and I ended up being all county and had a scholarship. And then, it's the same thing here. I didn't stop making the videos. I just kept going, and it's tough. I mean, it really is really, really tough. So, I think more of the problems aren't necessarily strategic or technical. I think it more mentally, is where all the problems are, because the recipe to success and the activities and the actions and all that are really easy. I mean, real simple. I think more of the problems lie within yourself, worrying, doubting yourself, you know, um, stuff like that.
You couldn't be more right. You have to go with your gut sometimes, but with those doubts, you do learn a lot of lessons. What is one of your greatest failures or lessons learned, Ricky? And what did it teach you? Why is it still stuck with you all the way up until today?
Well, the biggest one is something that we've touched on already, and it's the relationships over transactions part. And it was when I lost everything and had to go through that. It took me a long time to realize that. And a couple other things I learned through the crash, when I look back after I got out of the business and then back in the business, and I realized real estate closings were still happening every single day in my market. And closings will happen every day for the rest of your life. And so if you're in real estate or any business, right, transactions are going to continue to happen regardless. If the market really takes a hit, prices will adjust in your favor down to a level where people are still willing to buy, which means what? Transactions are still happening. I don't care if it's car sales,
Right,
real
yeah.
estate, travel agencies, jewelry, whatever, any kind of sales. Prices will adjust it's a supply and demand thing. So because it's like stocks, stockbrokers make money on the way up and the way down, because they're
Yeah.
brokering the sale of the stocks or the buy of the stocks, so they make money either way. They're in a win-win situation. And so is everyone on this call that's listening to this. you have to look at your business and you have to realize that you are in a win-win. There's no real way to lose unless you just quit, or if you don't realize this and take advantage of it, So, yeah, but I learned business is unlimited. Competition doesn't exist. I have no idea what my competitors are doing out there. I see them every once in a while, like way over there, I'm not paying too close of attention. I see them trying to do a little something, but I'm over here trying to I don't even want to know what they're doing, because that's going to bring my goals way down. If I know what they're doing and I think all I have to do is beat them, then that's going to bring my goals down tremendously. So I just want to keep, ignoring them and keep pushing forward with what I'm doing so that I can really do something, massive,
Definitely a great lesson, staying laser focused, not letting distractions get to you mentally. But you seem to be a big learner, Ricky, and I love that about the entrepreneurs who come on this show. If you could choose to have a conversation and learn from any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who are we going with?
That is a good question. I think if I could really sit down with somebody, like one-on-one for an evening kind of deal, I think I'd want to do that with Gary Vee.
Let's talk about it.
Well, when I got into coaching, when I first got into coaching, I started out charging. Right, I did that for 6, 8 months. I had 200 agents paying me a total of $10,000 a month coming in automatically, and through that process, I learned that there were so many agents out there that needed help. They were just desperately needed some direction. And what happens is 300 people sign up for a webinar, 100 show up, and only 1 or 2 actually move forward and buy the coaching. And so there were 300 people that needed help. 100 of them really needed it because they took the time to actually come to the event, but only 2 moved forward. So you got people that really need help out there, but nobody wants to pay for anything. And so through Gary's content, I realized that actually just opening up the floodgates and just giving it to everybody for free would in turn build this huge personal brand, which would then in turn, put you in a position where you can pretty much name your price on whatever, your speaking engagements, your book deals, your sponsorship deals, and stuff of that nature. I actually went to 4Ds and sat down with him for a second. Everybody got to ask him a question and hang out there for a day. He had his whole team run through a bunch of different stuff. It was an all-day class basically at VaynerMedia. And the only reason I went there is because I wanted to tell him to his face, face to face, that he was a big reason why I am on the path to becoming the most well-known real estate agent in the world, and the highest demanded real estate speaker in the world. So that was really cool. But it wasn't really a one-on-one type deal where I could spend, hours and hours picking his brain, talking to him, collaborating and stuff like that. So if I had to choose somebody right now this second, it would be him.
You can't argue that choice. It's time to look in the future here, Ricky. We know you're up to a lot, but we're going to look 1 year and 5 years out. Where do you see yourself and all of your entrepreneurial endeavors 1 year from today?
1 year from today, man, I'm going to put a ton of money back into my personal brand over the next 12 months. And I literally am looking to become the most well-known real estate agent in the world. So that's kind of where I'm heading, man, doing some really big things, speaking at all the big events and doing all the big stuff, I'm only going big from here on out.
Yeah, well, your brand is definitely, certainly growing a lot. But 5 years out, Ricky, is there anything you could share with us that's going to get everybody listening on excited?
Everything that I'm doing right now is gearing up for whatever 5 years from now is going to be, and I don't know what that is. A lot of the problem out there is that we don't know what each of our full potentials are. We're kind of floundering. We have these goals that we want to hit, but we don't know if we can actually hit them, or we don't know if we can go way past the goals. We don't know exactly what our full potential is. And so your full potential is once you realize how much you can mentally handle at one time, and then you stay right there at that threshold, along with trying new things and tweaking and adapting and learning and so on and so forth. But you maintain that level of output, of production, of effort, right? That's going to yield whatever. You don't know what the highest results are going to be because you haven't done it yet. You don't know what your full potential is. But until you put in maximum amount of effort over the long haul and see what those results are, you don't know what those results are going to be. And so for me, for 5 years out, it's like I'm pushing harder right now than I've ever pushed. I've never woke up at 4:30 and like pounded out 2 hours of messages for people all over the world. I've never done that in my life except for starting about, a year ago. And a year ago was more like 30 minutes. It's grown to 2 hours. And so like as time moves on, I'm not going to be able to answer all those DMs at some point. And so people need to really take advantage right now and use me as a resource, right? But 5 years from now, I can't really say because I don't know what my full potential is. I didn't know I was going to be here right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my goal for 5 years is to put the maximum amount of effort, like sacrificing my body. You know what I'm saying? Like sacrificing my body and stuff for the next 5 years, just putting it all on the line, and going as hard as I can. And then just seeing what happens. Because I know whatever is going to happen is going to be the best, most possible result available for me. And that's what a lot of people need to understand too. You got to be the best you can be. A lot of people are trying to be other people. It's like, don't even pay attention. Like I said, I'm not even looking at the competition. I'm just like, what's the maximum I can do today, to make myself 1% better, to get to a better place, in 5 years.
Ricky, this is certainly one of the more inspirational episodes. I thank you for all the advice you're giving. I think it's a perfect time for the spotlight story here, Ricky. On each episode, I share a quick entrepreneurial journey to inspire our listeners, and I would love your take on it. Since we have an entrepreneur who developed through real estate for today's episode, I will now introduce another entrepreneur who has found much success in the market, in Grant Cardone. This is a name that everyone has come across one way or another, especially with his large presence on social media now. Grant Cardone is well known for making millions in the real estate market and is also the CEO of Cardone Capital, international speaker, entrepreneur, author of the 10X Rule, and the creator of 21 best-selling business programs. Cardone owns and operates 7 privately held companies and an estimated $1.5 billion portfolio of multifamily properties. He was also named the #1 marketer to watch by Forbes magazine, and I caught an awesome article written where he gives advice to fellow entrepreneurs, and he left the audience with 3 great tips to stay hungry. 1, beat the sun up. 2, never be normal. 3, find your purpose. Ricky, what do you like best about Grant's story?
Well, his book, The 10X Rule, was one of those 100 books I read back when I lost everything. And it was a huge inspiration to me. That book was big. It's actually one of my top 3. My favorite books are The Slight Edge was the #1. That's my all-time favorite book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And #2 is The 10X Rule. When I started following Grant during that time, huge inspiration, incredible inspiration. Over time, like it turned into something different. It turned into more of a sales. Everything was trying to get you to buy his courses and stuff. So his content and all of his advertisement went a different direction after a while. And I kind of lost interest, right? Mm-hmm. But then here lately, I've kind of boomeranged back to his content, maybe in the past, 3 or 4 months, because there again, he's done amazing things. And he is still a very inspirational person, so I like Grant a lot. He would definitely be somebody I wouldn't mind having dinner with and picking his brain and talking to him as well. I don't agree 100% with a lot of his philosophies, but you can't ignore the effort. I talk about effort and putting in maximum effort to see what the results are at the end of the day. He's the epitome of putting in the maximum amount of effort. And who would have thought that he would be managing $2 billion worth of properties and, having 10X growth cons with John Travolta and Kevin Hart and all these other people, and really rubbing elbows with the some of the most popular people on the planet. So big ups to him.
Absolutely, Ricky. Thank you for everything on the show, and thank you for all the value our listeners are going to see today. I personally enjoyed how you gave an honest testimonial right from the beginning, where you talk about your success, how you lost it all, and gave our listeners the idea of that can happen. Have your ducks in a line. Everything you said was so inspirational and tactical, but it is time for the last word. And I do this on my other podcast series, A Mental Health Break with Vincent A. Lanci, too, because I really want my listeners to get to know the guests I bring on. Is there something you would like to share with everybody listening on we did not touch on yet today?
Man, listen, just regardless of where you are in your career, there's always somebody higher. There's always somebody doing better. So you're never going to reach the top. I don't care how big and strong and powerful you are. There's always somebody bigger and stronger, always, every single time. And as we grow older, we're going to become stronger in some areas and weaker in others. And so you got to move with Mother Nature and with your body, and always take advantage of the best opportunities based on your current strengths and weaknesses at the time. And if you can do that and maximize your effort based on, your personality and your, what you have going on. One thing I'll say, to build a really large business, regardless of what business you're in terms of a business you want to build around a personal brand, think scaling your personality, right? Thinking scaling your personality. So you look at your personality and say, okay, I'm honest, hardworking, dependable. I want the best for people. I'm professional. I'm knowledgeable. You're everything that someone wants in, whatever you are. Okay. You're everything that your client wants. Okay. Now you just got to learn to communicate that to your clients and make it about them, not you.
I love that. Would you mind please sharing your professional social media website or any ways for our listeners to follow your endeavors, request your services?
Absolutely, guys. If you follow me on Instagram at Ricky Carruth, and I answer every message there, that's the best place to get me if you just want to say hi or ask a question. YouTube also. And if you guys are real estate agents and you want to join my free real estate coaching program, that's at 0 2diamond.com. And you guys just reach out and let me know what I can do to help you.
Ricky, it was a great episode. Be sure to check out all his great content and website. And it is social media time for the show. And we're on whichever platform you like to use. We're at What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur on LinkedIn, at Your Favorite Morning Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and Podcast by Lanci. So you have updates from this show and a mental health break with Vincent A. Lanci. Of course, my handles are at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube. And my website is vincentalanci.com. If you check out my books, DM me. I would love to hear from you. We have Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption, and How to Transform Your Mindset When the Norm is Changed, both on Amazon now. And as always, I will end the show with a quote that inspired me, and know it will for you too. This one is from Grant Cardone, the entrepreneur from today's Spotlight story. He said, "Average, by definition, assumes less than extraordinary, but you'll never reach true success by being less than extraordinary. Put your big ideas out there and work to make them reality, even if they are risky." Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all on the next episode of What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur.